This is the Racer H2O podcast.
It's time to drop that flag!
Go! Come on. Right there, go get him! Cut it tight. Stay on the tractor, baby! Bring it home!
And now here's your host.
Rewind battle for the lead, shoulder to shoulder, going into turn one. Rinse that boot around!
Jared Rosberg.
Yeah, what's up, troops? It's another week closer to racing season. Racer H2O podcast is now rattling around inside your cranium. Welcome, friends. Thanks for coming along. I'm your old pal, Jared. Well, we got a big podcast this week, but before we get into it, reminder, subscribe. Tell everybody you know to do the same thing. Tell people you don't know to do the same thing. Subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to this podcast, however you're listening to it, whether it be on Apple Podcasts, whether it be on Spotify, whether it be on YouTube. However you're enjoying it, make sure you please subscribe. Let's get those numbers up, because racing season is right around the corner. We're now about a week away from the start of the Racer H2O 2021 season, and man, I can't tell you how excited we are. Branson, right around the corner. Round one of Powerboat Nationals running of the Branson Grand Prix Series, ProTunnel 2, Hydrocross, and so much more. If you want to know more about the event itself, we had Dan Bunting, the managing director of Powerboat Nationals, on the podcast a few weeks ago. Go back and you can listen to that. You can go back and listen to podcasts all the way back into 2019 and in 2020 when the pandemic started. But hey, that's all in the rearview mirror now, fans. We're looking forward. We're ready to rock and roll. Branson, now just a little over a week away. And we thought it would be appropriate, albeit this would be the second time his encore performance on the podcast. We thought it would be appropriate to have the defending race winner in Branson and the defending ProTunnel 2 world champion, Steve Merleau, always outspoken, never afraid to share his opinion. So I'm anxious for this interview. I know it's going to be great. So don't go anywhere, fans. We will have Steve Merleau on the Racer H2O podcast coming up in just a little over 15 seconds. Stick around.
You're listening to the Racer H2O podcast.
RacerH2O.com is the place to go to find easy-to-use links to our social media. Watch, read, listen to, and enjoy our content on demand for free on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and RacerH2O.com.
This is the race.
No, this.
Okay.
Pause.
Okay. This is the Racer H2O podcast.
Fans, welcome back to the podcast. I'm joined now by a man who is so nice. We've had him on the podcast twice. He is the 2019 ProTunnel 2 world champion. From his shop in Bellevue, Michigan, we welcome Steve Merleau to the podcast. Steve, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, before we get too far into 2021, let's talk about leading up to this. And obviously we need to talk about 2019. I mean, you earned the world championship title for the ProTunnel 2 class in Powerboat Nationals. I mean, you just did so well. Did you know at the onset of 2019, you were going to have as dominating season as you had in 2019?
You know, we didn't off the get-go. I knew that my boat had been rebuilt. My dad originally built it in 2011, and it had been getting wore out from me learning how to drive. And then we had Jim Fairchild rebuild the boat, and it came fast again. And we got our motor program together and our prop program together, and we became pretty hard to beat. Minus, I think 2019, the only two races that I was able to take second was because we had to brake and had to restart.
Mm-hmm.
And that darn Mark Schmierbach is awful hard to beat when he gets in front. So 2019 was a really, really good year for us, and I would say one of our best years. And we were hoping for 2020 to be just as good. And, you know, we only had one race. So 2020 was a big letdown, obviously, because of the pandemic.
Right. Well, and here we are in 2021, and boat racing is underway, or it will be underway here on May 15th and 16th in Branson, Missouri. Round number one of the Branson Grand Prix Series for ProTunnel 2. And you guys are the headliners. Now, I know in talking, walking through the pits and asking guys,
how are you going to do today? How are you going to do today? They're like, well, we hope we do okay. We got that 66 out there. I mean, we just don't know. It seems like people fear the beard. That was your marketing throughout 2019. Fear the beard. And I mean, do you feel like the other drivers are actually, do you intimidate them? Are they scared to get out on the water with you?
Well, we sold out all the shirts to not only fans, but to other racers. So that has something to say about it. But do they fear me? They're going to tell you no to your face, but they ain't showing up to the races to come race me. So what does that tell you? It's either they don't want to race or they don't want to lose. Nobody wants to lose, but how do you learn and get faster, right? So yeah, I would definitely say they fear me. I believe that. But again, nobody's going to admit that.
Right. Well, one guy, I mean, as you said, it took you breaking, but then he's awful hard to get around is Mark Schmerbach. And well, we'd love to see him in Branson to see how you guys went head to head, toe to toe with both boats in 100%. That'd be fantastic, wouldn't it?
It would. Yeah. And, we raced in 2020 in Springfield, and, he was a non-issue. So, I think he knows that when he comes to a race, he's racing for second, and unless I break. So I hope he shows up and proves me wrong. Matter of fact, I hope everybody shows up, proves me wrong, because then that lets me know that I need to change my program. It's getting quite boring over here, not having to spend a ton of time trying to figure out how to go faster because I'm there and I don't need to change much. The other guy is Jason Nelson, which we didn't mention his name, but he was somebody to reckon with there in Springfield. He'll argue that he was a faster boat. He was on a one-lapper, but at the end of the day, I crossed the line first. And I know he wanted to be in Branson. Him and I are good friends, and we talk quite a bit. And I know he wanted to be in Branson, but he's got other obligations with a wedding. Personally, I think boat racing is way more important than a wedding. But but again, maybe he's going to the wedding because he knows he's gonna lose. Who knows?
Well, it would be great to see you guys go head to head too. He's the 2018 series champion. You're the 2019 series champion. So it'd be great to see you go head to head. Now, you mentioned Champions Park Lake in Springfield, Ohio. That was the last time you raced. And unfortunately, that event was a good event, but it was marred by the tragic loss of Formula One racer Tracy Hawkins. And after that, it seemed like the APBA was really stepping up as far as safety measures are concerned for the capsuled tunnel boats. Now, there are new safety measures in place. Obviously, safety is paramount, and we've had, for a long time, it got a little lax, or people got a little slack with it. But no matter what you race, safety is always paramount. Do you feel that, boat racing is not a big money sport, and it already takes some money to get into it? Were the measures that the APBA put in place as far as safety, are they too much? Are they going to chase boats out with the cost of adding the air? I mean, if you would please, for the fans, discuss what the APBA said you had to put into your boat, and do you think it's going to be too costly for drivers?
Okay, yeah. So I mean, APBA is always moving in the right direction, right? So safety is always extremely important. Now, I'm no safety expert, but I know that the two rules that they put in place now is having to have onboard air, which is very broad, right? So you don't have to have a mask on all the time. You can have what they call spare air or a bottle in the back with a regulator up front. And then the second thing is a neck brace. And again, that's very broad. I mean, it could be a pillow that goes around your neck. Personally, in 45 class, I think both of those are a bit on the extreme side, but again, I'm no expert. We're very, we're going a lot slower. So air to me has always been one of those things, are you comfortable with it? Do you want to run it? I've never personally wanted to run it. You got hoses in, with inside the cockpit, get wrapped around your leg. It's just way more going on. And the same with that neck piece. Now on the Formula One boats, I think running both of those is very important, and you should probably be running air and the neck brace. But I didn't make the rules. I'm no expert, so we just abide by it. But again, those rules are very broad. So again, I guess I can wear a neck pillow around my neck and have a very small spare air inside the cockpit, for those reasons. But I can tell you, as a racer, neither one of those things I'm thinking about when I go upside down. I'm getting the heck out of there, right? So I'm not even thinking about grabbing that air bottle. I'm worried about getting out.
Right. and talking with Steve Merleau, our 2019 ProTunnel 2 World Champion, as we prepare for their season opener in Branson, Missouri, in the round number 1 of the Branson Grand Prix Series on May 15th and 16th on Lake Taneycomo. Everybody's prepping now, Steve. We're getting ready. We're about a week and a half away from the first race. Have you done anything different with the boat? Done any testing, changes, or are you just going to wipe the dust off of it, put it on the trailer, and get to Missouri?
Well, the boat's treated like a king, so it's in a heated barn, right, sitting right next to me actually. And but no, we built a couple motors. I sent 5 props out to DeWalt to get reworked. I would say those are the 2 major changes, but the rest of the boat is there, right? I mean, there ain't a whole lot I need to do. We're going to be breaking in motors this weekend. Testing wise, I like to keep my motors fresh, so I've been racing quite a while. So I focus on at the race sites when it comes to lap times and making sure I get the fastest prop for the conditions.
Well, let's talk about as we move into the season this year. Now, this season's going to be a little strange. A lot of racing, albeit at one place in Branson. But coming out of a pandemic, I think we should all just count our blessings that we're able to race at all, that there are places out there that are still willing to put boat races on, even though there's still, albeit it's diminishing, a level of uncertainty with social distancing, having large crowds, et cetera. I don't need to go into that. You can watch it on the news, but 2021 is a little bit limited as far as a ProTunnel 2 series. 2022 is looking better as we are planning to return to Knoxville and some other places, Guntersville again. Talk about the ProTunnel 2 series with Powerboat Nationals. I mean, this is a pretty affordable way to race. The races are all pretty much this year, obviously in one place. So travel isn't as bad as, for lack of a term, globe trotting, map trotting all over the place, all these different places. Personally, I think it's a pretty good series to run in. Your thoughts?
No, it is. Powerboat Nationals is a great series to run in. Anything he's ever said, he's done. And matter of fact, this year he's changed the payout schedule to help some of those guys to come. So let's say, it's always been top heavy, right? So first place always gets the most money. And now we're able to kind of level that out to get more guys to show up with that travel money to get down there and what have you. Having the race there 3 times in 1 year, that's going to be new. So I wish I could say, hey, I'm super excited about it or not excited. I think I'm excited to see what it's going to be about. I know Branson's a ton of fun to race at. It's very narrow. It's a short course. Your boats, your guys, we're always next to each other. You don't ever really get to stretch out when it comes to the racing. So that's a great part. And then on top of you're racing right next to a seawall. You could literally touch your right sponsor on that seawall, and fans almost being able to touch the boat. That's the water being that deep and how it's set up. So it's a really cool sight. And, and last year when I was racing, you just look over when you're going down that front stretch and see all those spectators waving and clapping, and you can't see behind them because there's 2-3 deep people trying to watch the race. That was pretty cool.
Right. And if you watch any of our coverage on YouTube, you can see all of that. Any of our onboard footage, you can see the fountain, you can see the fans 2-3 deep, sometimes 4 deep, depending on the time of day. And these are fans from all over the world. They're not just Bransonites. These are people they're tourists. They come in from all over the world, all over the United States, and they're taking in ProTunnel 2 racing. And the other thing is, and let me be, self-promoting here, Racer H2O will be there, fans, live or not live. Our national television coverage will be seen on 8 different networks. 130 million households will be covering this event and all of the racing events in Branson on Racer H2O. From a driver's standpoint, I mean, what does the media attention mean to you? I know not every driver's out there looking for sponsors, but does it matter to you, Steve, as the past champion, as a defending champion, to have TV cameras on you?
Oh, it's amazing. I'll give you a perfect example. My grandparents live in Yuma, Arizona. And I got a phone call from them. Now I see them, we were seeing them every summer. They'd come up here for the summertime from, Arizona. And I got a phone call, and they were raving about how they see me on TV in Arizona. And man, that was awesome, right? That was great. And it also is good for your sponsors. So if you're trying to get sponsors to be able to say, hey, we're on TV here. And for the 45s, let's be honest, we've always been, and quite honestly, we should be. We have always been second spot, right? So we were the filler class, or we weren't the main event. Man, here in Branson, we are the main event. We are top dog, top line. I mean, that's all we talk about is 45 racing. And so to me, that's huge. I mean, that's a lot of coverage, and now 3 times in 1 year you get that coverage. I mean, that's feel like a superstar. So to me, it's great. And even in Branson, let's even go a step further. We're not in the pits. I mean, let's be honest, guys. Some of the pits in Powerboat Nationals could be way out in BFE. Branson's not that way. It's right in Bass Pro Shop's parking lot. That's pretty cool. So if you get bored, you walk into Bass Pro Shop and do a little bit of shopping if you want. I mean, I love Bass Pro Shop. So I sit in there all day long and just look at stuff. So that's pretty cool to have the pits right there, and the racing's real close by. Hotels are real close by. I mean, everything is like right there in your face.
Well, attention to our fans in Branson at Branson Laning in marketing at Bass Pro Shop. Steve Merleau is a big fan. How about throwing a sticker on his boat?
There you go.
He's a big fan. The media attention, you spoke to it from an individual driver standpoint. What do you think it does for the sport itself, getting it out on TV?
It elevates it. I mean, you think about all the people that are coming into Branson. It's a tourist destination, right? And I'm sure if they did some sort of a questionnaire, people probably don't even know about boat racing. So being able to pull all these people from different areas and say, oh my goodness, look at this boat racing. And then now you throw it on TV, and now they've got a connection, right? There's always that, oh yeah, I've seen them in Branson. That's boat racing. I think that's why your NASCAR and your Formula One car, there's a connection there because people understand it. When it comes to boat racing, they may not understand what it's about or what they're doing, but when you see it in person and you get on TV, they make that connection. So I think it's huge.
Well, you touched on it a little bit in your comments about Branson. Tell the fans and any driver that might be on the fence or, thinking about they've never been to Branson, from not a driver's standpoint, but from a tourist standpoint, because everybody, when we travel to these towns, obviously we go out, we have a good time and, take in the restaurants and bars and shows and what have you. Talk about Branson. You were there with Sarah last year, or I'm sorry, in 2019. Talk about your experience in Branson, Missouri.
Yeah. So obviously Sarah saw my races. She's my crew chief and I'm a radio. She's not okay with us just going back to the RV, like we did in some races and have dinner, right? I mean, we're in Branson. So we experienced some great, and we did with Dave McMurray. We had some great dinners. And then we went with Dan and his mom and dad, and we went to a comedian show. No, I'm sorry. It was a magic show, magic comedy. And so that was a lot of fun. But there's a ton of stuff that we didn't even scratch the surface of some of the things that we can do. I mean, I'm a hermit. So when we get done racing, the last thing I'm thinking about is going out and having fun. I'm like, I want to sit down and relax. I've just raced all day. But we did a lot more in Branson than we've done at any other race site, and it was very enjoyable. And matter of fact, this year we're bringing the kids, and we're hoping to do a little bit more exploring with the kids there. So make it more than just racing, right? Having the kids get involved and doing things with them.
Well, I can tell you, Branson is an incredibly family-friendly place to vacation. So much to do there for everyone of all ages, from the adults down to the kids. I mean, zip lines, go-karts, mountain coasters, roller coasters. I mean, people, I had really no idea what to expect from Branson, and I just walked out of there amazed, absolutely blown away. And if you would like more information, fans, those of you that are listening, explorebranson.com is where you go to learn about all the stuff there is to do in Branson. And I know that our drivers and riders that are going to be attending the round number 1 of the 2021 Branson Grand Prix Series on May 15th and 16th. Go to explorebranson.com, get all the information about all the great places you can go. Steve Merleau, we thank you for your time. We know you're in the shop. We know you took time out of your busy day to say a few words to the fans, and we appreciate you doing that. Can't wait to see you in Branson, and good luck on the road. We'll see you in Missouri. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Jared.
And we thank Steve Merleau again for taking some time out to be on the podcast as he's busily getting ready for the first race of the year for Powerboat Nationals ProTunnel 2 Series in Branson. For all of you Hydrocross fans, we know Hydrocross is racing in Branson. We had Brian O'Rourke on last week. You can go back and listen to that interview, get some great insight on what it's like to race a sport class jet ski on the waters of Lake Taneycomo. Very interesting place to race. And of course, if you are making plans, and you should be making plans to come to Branson, Missouri for round number 1 of Powerboat Nationals Branson Grand Prix Series, go to explorebranson.com. Get all the information there. And fans, I'm just going to put this out here now. You're going to hear me say it a million times between now and by the time the checker flag drops on the last race in Branson. When Powerboat Nationals races in Branson, Missouri, and you're a racer, whether it's the ProTunnel 2 or Hydrocross, if you aren't in Branson, Missouri on those dates, you are in the wrong place. Get to Branson, learn more at explorebranson.com. Of course, like, share, follow, subscribe to all of our social media, the Racer H2O social media. We'll have new information, more information, bonus video of past racing. We're really excited to be going back to Branson, fans, and all of you should be as well. Hey, thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with a brand new guest as we roll into Branson. But until then, take care of yourselves, take care of each other. That light at the end of the tunnel, fans, it's getting brighter every day. We're almost there. So stay safe. We'll see you next week. I'm your old pal, Jared. Thanks for listening to the Racer H2O podcast.